Delighted to say we are now joined live from Pakistan, somewhere on the road, on the highway to Multan, talking of highways. Behram Qazi is a Pakistan cricket writer and broadcaster who's on the line with us now. Just before we come to you, Behram, we want to remind listeners and viewers what Jason Gillespie said a couple of weeks ago when he spoke to us about the importance of consistency in all aspects, particularly selection, of bringing success back to Pakistan cricket.
I've gone into it eyes wide open. I know there's been a lot of upheaval. There's been changes in chairmen. There's been changes in selectors. There's been changes in coaches. There's been a high turnover. There's been a lot of instability. And I've keep coming back to, if we can just develop some consistency off the field, it gives us the best chance of having some more consistency on the field. So that's been my focus, is being a consistent person as well in my demeanour and everything that goes on. We just develop consistent training routines, consistent plans, having consistent process in leading up to games, consistent training and consistency with selection. If we can just build these things in to Pakistan cricket and show everyone that, one, we care, and two, we're giving this our best, then I think that gives us the best chance of having some success.
Jason Gillespie talking about the importance of consistency. Behram, so much to talk about, which I know you're going to cover. I just want to make the other point that another national coach, Mickey Arthur, took to Twitter in the aftermath of that test to say that Pakistan had the right players, they were the best players, and they needed to be backed. Instead of which, three of the best have been dropped. I don't know where you want to start. Playing the test on the same pitch, dropping Shaheen, Shah, Afridi, and Babar Azam and Naseem, Shah. I don't know. I mean, there's an awful lot to cover. Is this a new low?
Yeah. I mean, every single time we're asking ourselves the same question, whether or not this is a new low, really. And I mean, never a dull day in Pakistan cricket, manners. I suppose you can say that. Look, it's a bit of a bombshell that they've dropped, right before the second test, mid-series. I mean, dropping three of your most talented cricketers, actually, in this particular squad. And then also, reusing the Multan surface, which was a joke by Cameron Ponsonby. It was a tweet, and they've taken it seriously. And it's quite radical, but honestly, given the state of Test cricket in Pakistan and how we get these roads and highways every now and then, I'm not even entirely opposed to this. This is what they've done to someone like me, that they're reusing a pitch, and I am for it, right? That we might get some more exciting cricket. And it's a really interesting place to be right now, in Pakistan cricket, because Babar Azam, undoubtedly, right? 18 test innings now without a half century. You can't sidestep that. You cannot just overlook that. Of course, those are significant numbers, and it is a catastrophic dip, right? But he is still, on talent and reputation, the best batter in Pakistan, right? And he's shown the world how good he can be. And the one thing we need to consider over here is that even if you wanted to rest or drop, your senior players, you don't do that mid-series, because that just adds to the air of toxicity within the dressing room. And I feel like it's going to be a really tricky place to be as well right now, Pakistan's dressing room, because you can see how polarizing these decisions are online, right? A lot of people were like, yes, Babar needs some rest and maybe some mental clarity, and maybe he needs to go back to domestic. And other people were like, okay, well, he's still your best batter. You give him a longer rope and you continue to, give him opportunities to get some time out in the middle, and maybe that fixes it. I am leaning towards that particular, side of the coin, where I feel like might as well, give him this series, and then we can, make our assessments and then do whatever. But it's not just Babar. It's Shaheen, Afridi and Naseem Shah as well. Now, Shaheen, again, we spoke about him last time of how, before this particular test match, the 823 test, Shaheen was averaging 41 with the ball in 5 test matches after he'd returned from injury. I'm guessing those numbers would have gotten worse now that, of course, Pakistan have conceded 823, and I think he just got a solitary wicket. But, dropping him or resting him would have still made some sense, because you've got other bowlers waiting in the wings. And Shaheen, his pace has been down, like he's bowling mid 125s or 120, sorry, at times. And then, of course, he's not getting that same lateral movement when he pitches it up like he once used to. So, it still kind of makes sense to bench him. I don't know what Naseem Shah has done. He bowled his heart out and he drew the second most false shots in the test match in Multan. The figures might not reflect that, but he was one of Pakistan's best bowlers. And he is undoubtedly one of the, biggest stars and talents within Pakistan. So I don't understand in what world dropping three of your best players will fix anything, because Pakistan's issues are far greater, right? It is like not the scenario where these three were responsible for Pakistan losing. And doing it mid-series is even worse, because now you are basically hitting the panic button. And even amongst like the players, the supporters, the entire, fraternity, Pakistan cricket fraternity, you are ensuing chaos. And I don't understand what Pakistan's infatuation with chaos is, because that seems to be the norm with the PCB. And that's really where we're at. We'll come to the surface in a bit, but I really want to know what your thoughts are.
Well, to be honest, I've seen a tweet not long ago from George Dobell, from the cricketer, and there was a picture beside the pitch of Jason Gillespie. There was about 5 or 6 people, and I think it was the selection panel of Pakistan. And George said, there's some very animated conversation going on here, and they've been there for now an hour. So somebody's not happy, somebody's upset. I agree. I think I said straight after the game, I'd play on the same pitch. It's going to deteriorate. We've got to get a result, and Pakistan needs a result. I struggle to understand the dropping Babar. I would have left the other two out in Naseem Shah and Shaheen Afridi. For the simple fact is, the way they bowled, it's either the plans that they put in place were completely wrong, or they didn't bowl to the plans that were put in place. Everything came into Joe Root and Harry Brook on an absolute shirt front flat one, and they made it so easy for them, just a rotation of strike, and they didn't have to hit the big shot because. And then when you look at the pace element to it and why England were more successful on it, they had, the release point of the bowlers, they had 5 or 7 kilometers an hour extra on it, and it was going down and up into the surface rather than kissing it off the surface. And the biggest worry for me, Behram, and it's a question where they go next, is if your best spinner is a bra, and I know he was poorly, I mean, that would worry me big time, because I'd need a spin bowler that can, 1, either hold an end up, or 2, look threatening. And unfortunately, Abrar just looked neither. And they might need 2 spin bowlers in this surface, because the likelihood is, with the deterioration of the wicket, having played on it last week, it probably will spin very, very early in the contest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what we expect, at least. So there were some footmarks and everything on that surface. And I've seen a picture. I think George Dobell posted that one as well, right? I expect the surface to be tougher to bat on. And I think everyone wants that in Pakistan, because people are tired of watching dull cricket, right? Never a dull day in Pakistan cricket, but the test matches have actually been quite dull, ironically, right? And, even if this brings the spinners into it, and Pakistan have a dearth of spinners, you're not wrong over there. Abrar was Pakistan's frontline spinner, and I don't know if it was his idea or the management's plan to keep bowling outside leg stump to Harry Brook and Joe Root, and I don't know, hope for them to top edge or balloon one to the fine leg fielder, if that was the ploy. I don't understand that, because on one hand, they say that we need to take 20 wickets, and on the other hand, you're bowling these negative lines which won't get you wickets. Why weren't Pakistan bowling outside off stump to Harry Brook like Sri Lanka did, for instance, right? Why not bait England into playing their shots and maybe, holding out that in that manner? So the strategies were all over the place. And this doesn't even cut it, right? There were so many other things that were going on apart from the negative lines. Like they took the second new ball after 5.2 overs as if the old ball was doing something. And then they overbowled Naseem Shah towards the end when, everyone was waiting for a declaration. Naseem was bowling, right? Shan Masood has lost 6 out of 6 as captain, right? And that's a record. And that's a lot of pressure. And even though he performed well with the bat in the first innings, I mean, he was ruthless versus spin. He covered drove beautifully. And he got his 50 in 43 balls, 100 in 102. And then even his 151 was like with a strike rate of 85. But you look at the dismissal in the second innings. I mean, you've been dropped twice already, and you're basically giving the short mid-wicket fielder some catching practice. So he has a lot to figure out as well. And now you've dropped your major players, and that's also brought in this air of negativity from all corners, because not a lot of people are happy with this, and there's good reason for them not to be happy with this, right? Because these are the sort of stopgap or muscle flexing solutions that never work. continuity. They spoke about continuity so much, not just right now, but even in the Bangladesh series. And you even mentioned and played that clip from Jason Gillespie. That's all I've been hearing. And I like that. I was like, okay, the team is bad right now. You continue with these people, at least for the series, and then you make your judgments. And here's where I feel like having a massive selection panel might be a bad thing. Too many cooks may be spoiling the broth over here. As you know, Aleem Dar, the umpire, is now on the selection panel as well. You've got ex or former cricketers in Asad Shafiq and Azhar Ali. And then, the coach and captain are also there. And there's one more person that I am completely forgetting or blanking out right now on, who is also in that selection panel. But point is, Aqib Javed, yes. So if 7 people, including the chairman or whatever, are going to sit down and make these decisions, maybe there is a 4-3 split. And when there is a 4-3 split, some of those people are not happy with that decision, and I don't know what that achieves. Do you know what I'm saying, right? Like, this will create anarchy. And this is in the exact opposite direction of where Pakistan cricket should be heading. I don't know if you can even call this a direction, right? This is just them going on vibes. And right now, I just feel like they want to punish these particular players because it doesn't make sense to drop them mid-series. If you wanted to rest them, you would have rested them prior. But they didn't do that. And now they've created a scene, and we should all be talking about how Pakistan, cannot manage to take a wicket or buy a wicket at home. And, 135 wickets in the last 11 home test matches, that's around 12 wickets per game. That's bad. And we should also be talking about the fact that they just got steamrolled by England. 823 was the number that was conceded, right, of runs. And they lost by an innings. So this is all pretty grave, and they are 11 winless tests at home, out of which there have been 7 defeats. But all of the focus has now gone on these droppings, right? No Babar, no Shaheen, no Naseem. And this will dominate discourse, and people will just continue to fight, whether they be fan bases or the journalists or even the players in the PCB, so it seems at this point, right? If Pakistan cricket was a soap opera, this particular episode could have gotten nominated for an Emmy. I'll just leave it at that.
Final one from me then. I'm just going to have a laugh and play devil's advocate. So pretend that I'm an eternal Pakistan cricket optimist, and I said to you, this is all a massive overreaction. Yes, every country goes through ups and downs, but we did make 556. 3 guys scored hundreds, and maybe we should just bow our heads and give credit to an extraordinary England performance. Pakistan it's just going through the natural ebbs and flows, and we'll be back. We're a proud cricket nation. Everything will be fine.
I think that is wishful thinking, because so much is wrong structurally with Pakistan cricket that, these stopgap solutions won't fix anything. Let me reverse the point of view or perspective to you, saying that Pakistan scored 556 runs in the first innings and nearly lost the game on day 4. Right? That's the flip side of it, right? That is astonishing. It is so bizarre that it really baffles you to no end. And I mean, this is a record. No team in history of Test cricket, 147 years of Test cricket, no team has scored 500 plus in the first innings and lost by an innings, right? And Pakistan have gone 6 tests back to back, losing them, not drawing them. And at home, they haven't won since February 2021 when they won versus South Africa. So this team seems to be mentally and physically toast. Right? I saw the fitness levels, and a lot of those shots in the third innings where Pakistan collapsed, which they've also made a habit of, right? They've collapsed frequently all throughout this year. Those shots were tired shots, and Saim Ayub's shot was probably the worst shot I've ever seen in a while, right? You needed to bat out 4 1/4 sessions to at least save this game, and even that seemed to be too big of a task for Pakistan. It is a downward spiral, manners, right? You look at the country and it is an economic and political turmoil. The cricket seemed to be running in this parallel universe for a bit, and now it's basically just caught up, right? So it's really, really depressing and tragic, because Pakistan cricket, of course, adds a lot of flavor, as does like West Indian cricket, right? So those were the 2 countries which everyone would really look forward to watch. And now those are the 2 countries which are basically a write-off in Test cricket at this point. And that's what really bothers me. Just as a cricket enthusiast and someone who covers the game, because for more of these teams to remain competitive is good for the sport at large. And we're seeing that completely drop off. And there can be many reasons for that. The way this game or sport is run, financially is not entirely ideal either. So that would require a whole different podcast. But all I'll say is that Pakistan managed to lose a game which was unlosable. And I actually have one more question for you guys. I've been doing some research on this. This might be my next piece, actually, right? I've been looking at this a lot. Is there even a point to bat first on these sort of roads? Because then the opposition can come and score more runs than you and then put you under pressure. Whereas if the opposition is batting first, they don't know when to declare. And a funny story, in the history of Pakistan Test cricket, every time this country has hosted a game, you get a result about a little over a half of that time, right? So 53%. And out of those wins, you win a test match basically 2/3 of the time when you bat second. I don't think anyone has thought of this like this before, because bat first seems to be the obvious ploy, but I'm here questioning that ploy. I mean, I'm questioning a lot of things. I'm also questioning why Shan Masood took off Naseem and Shaheen after 4 overs when they were actually getting the ball to do something when England's innings started. But these are all minor things. The larger issue is that you don't have a system to properly run cricket, and you make your cricketers insecure. You will drop the biggest names just to completely throw everything into the spanner. And feces hits the fan, and you just continue to get the same results. And it is so taxing and emotionally taxing as well to cover Pakistan cricket. But I hope that I've given you guys enough meat over there, because really we're all just dumbfounded at this point.
Yeah, Ben Stokes is somebody who looks at that and he likes to chase fourth innings. He likes to put the big score on second in the, obviously, batting second. So there is something in that. I also look at it, Behram, and say, well, you got 550, as Mana said, 3 people got hundreds. Your bowling attack wasn't good enough. And if you like what England have done, England over the course of the last 2 or 3 years under Key, Stokes and McCullum, Nadeem Shah might be a quality performer. Shaheen Shah might be, and he is an unbelievable performer. But for them wickets, they're not what you need. You need something different. And I think that's what England have identified. We need pace. We need this type of spinner. We need like release point has got to be at X. And they've gone outside the box to try and get 20 wickets. And that's what's happened. They score fast enough, and they've got bowlers who can get 20 wickets. And that, unfortunately, I don't see that in Pakistan.
I mean, look, you can save test matches with your batting, but you can only win them with 20 wickets or a fancy declaration, which you can never put past Ben Stokes' England either. But I completely agree with you. You know, good sides find a way to take 20 wickets in whatever conditions. And Pakistan's bowling has been abysmal. That has been the bane of their existence in home test cricket for the last 3.5 years, because that's why they haven't won anything, right? Look at South Africa, for instance. It's not a side that's doing particularly well. The batting resources are, you know, not particularly flattering right now, but they will still win games of cricket, test cricket, because they will outbowl other teams. Pakistan is also not a team going through like a good period by any means, but they just simply can't seem to buy a wicket. And, you know, 135 wickets in the last 11 home test matches paints the perfect picture. And even if the runs aren't coming, you know, bowling is Pakistan's biggest issue. The surface hasn't helped, but the tactics were worse. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Like, if you're bowling outside leg stump to Root and Harry Brook and saying you can just take those easy singles, you know, sweeping the ball and being safe, what are you achieving here? You might dry out the boundaries, but they're still going at 4 and over, right? And Pakistan scored 556 and 149 overs, whereas England in 1 more over had 823. So they had 267 runs more, which is an entire like ODI, if we're being real, right? So that's basically, you know, just a summary of all that's going wrong over here. And right now they're just in panic mode. And I feel like they want to make some statement of their own. It's not the correct one, because when, you know, whoever replaces these people won't just come in and fix everything like some sort of messiah. And this entire country has been plagued by the messiah complex. They don't look towards structure or system. They want some hero to emerge and fix everything. And this is, you know, unanimous, or it's basically everywhere across every institution more so. And I feel like Pakistan just needs to, or PCB needs to sit down and kind of make some long-term plans and not try to act as if they will back a player to the hilt and talk about consistency until they don't back that player, right? That's what we've seen over here. That's basically the gospel truth, that they said that, no, we're backing up players. We're going to be consistent with our selection. Bam, 3 guys gone. You got to drop them all if you want to change something. And this is just classic reactionary administration, which has been the story of Pakistan cricket throughout their history, right? There have been maybe some few periods in between where things had some semblance of stability. But other than that, this is basically what it is. It's decisions made on a whim, decisions made emotionally, and often to flex your muscle, and a lot of power brokerage in there. And I would say that the biggest factor towards Pakistan's decline is the fact that there has been so much volatility in administration. All these different coaches and chairmen, and there's been captaincy changes, and there have been selectors every 5 minutes. These things hurt Pakistan cricket. And we've just gone on and seen another episode in this very, very long TV show, which, like I said earlier, could easily get an Emmy nomination, because this is reality TV. Who wants to watch the Kardashians when you can watch Pakistan cricket?
Behram, drive safely. I do hope the road to Multan is as flat and as safe as the road in it. I hope you enjoy the test match.
I hope that we get a tantalizing game where it's really tough to bat. And even if Pakistan lose, look, ultimately people want to turn up for games where the cricket is scintillating and there is an even balance between bat and ball. That's what Pakistan's administration or curators haven't been able to provide the masses. That's why you don't see any fans in the stadium, right? We're talking about the DJ being really good because there was nothing else to talk about, right? In other shows. So, I mean, let's see how it all pans out. England definitely favorites, and Pakistan are absolutely clueless right now. And I feel like, they probably need therapy as a collective unit that can probably fix it, because this is just very, very haywire, even by Pakistan standards.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.